What's going on, everyone? It's Barles, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Report. As you can see, we have got James back, coach of Shuckers. James, mate, how are you going?
Yeah, pretty good. Solid week. Yourself, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. If you guys don't know who James is, I would hope you do know who he is by now. But James is currently second overall, and he's been up inside the top sort of five for a long time, and been around that tour number three for a while. So hopefully, as a friend of the podcast, he can go and do really well. It's getting tight up the top with you and Matt. So how did you go this week, James, and how far off of Matt are you?
Had a 23.64, so solid week. Probably a bit above par, which is good.
Well, no, a bit above par. I'm just having a look. So you came 225th for the week, and
Oh,
Matt
did
came
I?
149th for the week. So, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
a lot above par.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, no, that's pretty solid. So yeah, moved from third into second, and I dropped 14 points on Matt, so currently 86 behind him.
Yeah, no, it's a close one. So you moved above Terry, who's now back in third. So they actually both had good weeks. You had Terry, who's jockey Edgar Britt got 22.45, which was 3,660 for the week, and that was a good score. And then you also had Brett in fourth for Buster Move. He got 22.54, so he's closed the gap on third, and he came 3,133 for the week. So a lot. It's funny enough, the top. What was that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. The top 9 coaches all finished inside the top 3,800 for the week, which is pretty good. So, and there was 5 of you that finished inside the top 400. So, high scoring week for you guys at the top. But I got a 21.82. I thought I had a very, very poor week, but I only moved down about maybe 70, 80 spots to 32, which was a shame because I thought this was the week I'd move inside the top 3,000 and hopefully keep making that charge towards the top 1,000, but not meant to be. We'll climb back up there next week because there is a certain player that I'm bringing in this week, no matter what happens, and I need him. So, plenty to get into, but we'll get into our plus threes and negative threes. So, James, who'd be your? We'll go negative first. Who'd be your negative 3 for the week?
Negative 3, pretty. I had a pretty solid week actually. Maybe
that's a surprise.
maybe Dunkley.
Dunkley, yeah.
It's a bit of a safe bet there. Not everyone kind of has him, so
yeah,
no love lost.
And I'll go my negative 3. My negative 3. And you were talking about bringing him in as well, and you didn't bring him in, which just shows the difference between being up the top and in the bottom. Lockie. Whitfield, disgusting. 40 points, disgusting. I don't know what he was doing. I watched the first half. I actually turned off the game because there was no one in fantasy doing well besides Cogs, who just does well every week these days. But 81% game time. He had 10 disposals, 2 marks, 2 tackles. I'm considering trading him out. It's ridiculous. Like I know he got a 40 when he was playing forward against Carlton when he was still with Lyon Cameron, but you got 40 playing on still half forward wing, and it's just premiums cannot be scoring you 40 at this time of year. It can cost you a lot of rank, and it probably cost me moving inside the top 3,000. If I'm being honest, I would have probably moved inside, but oh well, there you go. Some things happen. But who would be your plus 3? I have a feeling I know who it will be, and I'll probably agree with your plus 3. Who is it?
I'll give it to Jack Steele.
Jack Steele,
got him in a couple of weeks ago.
He's been great.
Yeah, very, very happy owner.
Yep, he's been fantastic the last 3 weeks. I brought him in after he got the 124, so I got 114, 121. But his last 3 games have been I think they've been his second, third, and 6 highest scores in his 3 games back. So he's been fantastic. So he's definitely got to be a target. If you guys don't have him, you got to jump on because he's only going to keep going up from here. My plus 3, who I thought you were going to go, but I'm glad you didn't steal him from me because I need to talk about this man. Rory bloody Laird. Absolute machine. Another 132. That's now 5 games in a row of at least 122 points. He's only gone 1 score since round 7 under 118, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what his price is going to be. He had to get about 137, 138 points to get to $1 million. His break-even was 106, so he's going to go close. I think he's going to be about 997, 996, but I guess we'll find out. But I'm got no doubt that if he has a solid week next week against Collingwood, which you'd imagine he will, he'll reach $1 million, which will be fantastic. And I know he's going to be expensive next year, but I'm almost to the point where I think I just need to start with him next year because he's so consistent. Like he's the best at being just super consistent. And I've heard people say that if he played in the midfield when the Crows were in the 2017 grand final, he probably would have won a Brownlow that year or gone close at least because he's just been fantastic. But then again, Dusty was pretty good that year as well. But yeah, he's the big shining light from the Crows today. That just on a side note, because we're obviously both Crows fans, I thought that umpiring display, people watching probably going to be, we don't want to hear a Crows rant, but I need to get this off my chest. 30 seconds, right? That umpiring was absolutely disgraceful. I thought it was free kick Hawthorn was back and we got nothing and it was just horrific. I don't know what you thought, but
I thought it was all right. I thought we were just real sloppy. I thought they were all there
and anyone watching as well, don't get me wrong, we weren't great, right? But I thought the umpiring was crap house. That's probably that's the non-explicit way of saying it. So, but yeah. Anyway, we'll get back onto fantasy. But yeah, so yeah, good round from James, an okay round from me. But yeah, I think par was probably about high 2100s, low 2200s. So there you go. So let's get stuck into everything. So I obviously actually before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Leave a like on the video if you're enjoying the content. I think we gained one. So yeah, 486. We're 14 away from 500. So make sure you go and subscribe and follow on Twitch and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and wherever socials are. So anyway, so I spoke about obviously the Thursday night game, the Geelong and Melbourne game. So James, is there anything that you wanted to speak about from that game before we move on to the other 8?
I guess Oliver out is probably the big one. If he misses, maybe Max Gawn is an option now too. I know he didn't show a whole lot, but in that second half, I thought Cats were all over him. So no one really scored well from the D. So that's probably a bit of an outlier. I wouldn't look too much into that second half from a D scoring perspective. So I kind of still like Max Gawn. Whether I do it, is the question. But I think he's an option. Duncan as well.
Who was that?
Duncan as well.
Oh,
junked it up.
Talk about
disgusting.
Junk time. Bloody hell. That I knew my round wasn't going to be off to a good start when I'm missing. Because the reason I thought I had a solid week. I actually didn't have any of those big scorers. So the only guy I actually had was my highest scorer, funny enough, was Rory Laird. Rory Laird and Jack Steele were the only two players over 120. So I didn't have many hundreds this week compared to last week when I had a lot of 130s. But obviously, if you had you guys like your Mills and your Brayshaws and guys like that, and we'll speak about Mills. I know that there's something I've got to ask you about, which we talked about on Friday. But yeah, but I think Gawn's great. They just didn't kick to him, the Geelong players, which is obviously very smart. So whether that's a tactic that teams move forward. But yeah, anyone else from this game?
I don't think so, really. Nothing. Really
I think Petrarca did his thing. He got 96. I was hoping for the 100, but yeah, there you go. But yeah, Duncan, what was it? How many points did you get in the last quarter again?
60, I reckon.
Yeah, it was something like 60 odd points. Yeah, there you go. 60 points, 12 disposals, 6 marks, and a goal. Like, yeah, Duncan's back. Duncan's looking good. That's now. I think 4 of his last 5 have been over 100, and he only had 1 score over 100 in his first 11 games or something of the year. So the first 11 rounds, he only had the 1 score over 100, which was against the Giants with a 124. But since round 12, he's gone 115, 73, 103, 118, 138. So yeah, I think he's definitely an option that people can look at in the forward line. So but yeah, it's just that risk, I guess, that he's a bit like Aaron Hall. He's still a bit risky. So could be a good play to bring him in. So let's go through a couple of scores people put through here. So Andrew Griffiths says 2302. I forgot to do my Cripper to Brayshaw. Had to get McCluggage. A bit disappointed how we all go, guys. Obviously, yeah. But, Brayshaw, we've got to talk about him later, that's for sure. But, yeah, unfortunately, McCluggage didn't quite do as good as Brayshaw. But I still think McCluggage is a good pod pick. I think he'll be fine. Max Matthews, 2070, winning my league matchup by 1 point. Hope the lockout doesn't change any scores. Laird on debut was great. Saligo was my worst player with D9. Well, I know that me and James will both tell you, enjoy Laird, because Laird is awesome. He's very, very good. Joe Keys, 2254, brought in Mitch Duncan, who went big on debut, but had some disappointing scores such as Whitfield, Dunkley, etc. Yeah, it'd be nice to bring in a player that goes big. That doesn't happen to me too often, but yeah. What do we got? Shannon Baron says 2258, -3 Neil for getting pants by his tagger, +3 to Brayshaw Jr. Yeah, Brayshaw Jr. He's a pretty good player, that's for sure. But yeah, Neil, not too great. And I know a lot of people he was the most selected captain this week, 16%. So a lot of people went him captain. That's probably why I actually made up all my ground going a Laird captain. Jared, 2237, -3 to Neil, +3 to Brayshaw with the VC loophole. Obviously, always very nice to take a 144 with a loophole there. Andrew Griffiths, bit of a shout out to you, James. He said, James, you're killing it, mate. Good luck. Yeah, mate. James he's doing well. He's doing well, that's for sure. And he's going to hopefully we'll see how it goes and how him and Matt goes. I don't want to be biased to anyone because Matt's also a good bloke. So hopefully, I don't know what happens if it's a draw. I think it's that's selected by who registered first, I think. So I don't actually know who that would be. Think, yeah. That'd be interesting to whoever registered first. Shannon, we still got a long time to go. Shannon Page, 2284, -3 to Jackson. A failed experiment. I wouldn't say failed experiment. Just unfortunately got injured, and then the week after, because if he played last week, people would have then got rid of him this week. But yeah, +3 to Laird, first time captain. Not hopefully he's going to be a lot more captain for you, Shannon, because he's fantastic. Not as good as Duncan or Brayshaw, but damn close. Thanks for pumping up his tyres, Bales. Well, people should know by now that I'm a Laird fanboy, so it makes it better that I'm a fanboy of a guy that's probably he is the most consistent player in fantasy at the moment. There you go, Jared. Yeah, free kick count 27 to 15 Hawthorn for that game. Yes, I know, not great. I don't want to talk about it. It's going to make me angry. Porter Dennis, -3 to Whitfield. Yep, agree with that, and +3 to Brayshaw. So a lot of people got Brayshaw. I haven't had that luxury to enjoy having him yet. So, so let's get stuck into the games. So I'll take off with the Friday game, which was the Bulldogs and City game. Mate, you were going to go VC Mills, mate, and you backed out. That would have been a massive lad. But you had leg captain, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So it would have been extra 16 points, but that would have been very handy.
Yeah, you lost 16 points this week, didn't you?
I lost 14. So if I went Mills captain, I would have gained.
Yeah, but no, Mills, mate. I actually said in the description 13 tackles, but I was looking at Reid. 16 tackles for Mills, only 23 disposals for 148. He's just so good. Is he fine to be bringing back in? Obviously, people were nervous about last week with the bad score. You reckon he'll be fine?
I'm not sure. I think there might be better options. Like you probably missed his big one for the rest of the year, unless you think he can. I think he's got a pretty nice run, so maybe he'll have another big one. So if you think he can have a big one again, then bring him in. Otherwise, I'd look elsewhere to try and get someone who's going to have a big one, if that makes sense.
Well, the thing that helps with him is he was 961 a couple of weeks ago, but back-to-back scores of 96 and 54 ensured that he's now down at 891. Even with the 148, he still had a break in at 162, so he's still going to be under 890 this week. So I think that it's a lot better price than what he was priced at. So I don't mind him. And his run coming home. He's got Fremantle, which is a bit tough. Then he's got the Crows, Giants, North Melbourne, Collingwood, St Kilda. So he has got a nice run. I'll probably target him not this week, the week after. That's probably what I'm looking at doing with him. Look at the next player here. Sam Reid played well for them in the ruck. I thought maybe English might have cashed in a bit more. Jake Lloyd, 106. He performed well again, but he's just a roller coaster. I don't really think I'd be jumping on him. Luke Parker, the 103. Do you own Parker?
I do.
Yep. So you're obviously very happy for now. You're obviously very happy with another 100 for him. He's just consistent.
Yeah, he's solid. He could potentially be on the chopping block for me this week, though. So watch this space.
All the luxury things that we can do when we're second overall. I'd love to feel what that's like. Adam Treloar, 102. So that was good. If anyone was worried about him with this with that little hamstring issue, he looked fine. But he was playing off half back, which was a bit interesting. But I think that was just due to them having a few injuries back there. So I don't expect that to continue. But imagine Trelaw having defender stats, actually. That'd be pretty cool. Paddy Mccartney's first ton in his career, 102s. He was very good. Speaking of 99, that was disappointing. I was hoping he'd get a little bit more than that, but I genuinely thought he looked rusty. There was like 3 times as well where Bulldogs players could have hit him up for a short kick and they missed it. So that could have been an extra maybe 15 to 18 points. So that could have been near a 120. So I'm fine with English moving forward. Did you jump on English yet, or are you looking at him?
Yeah, I brought him in for Brody. So
yes. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, I remember you telling me. Yeah. So what did you think about English's? Do you think he looked rusty?
A little bit, but I think he's going to be, a real high scorer, top 3 in the forward line, top 2 in the ruck. I think he's good to bring in.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely wouldn't be looking at the 99. I'd be bringing him in, that's for sure. Marcus Bontempelli was solid. He had a good second half for that. I think he was on 36 at half time, ended up with 94, so he was good in the second half. He's just a top 6 forward. It's as simple as that. Isaac Heaney, of course, 91. I think he's actually had, since I got rid of him, he has, I owned him between rounds, wait, do I have him for Brisbane? No, I didn't. I owned him between rounds 8 and 11, and he got 67, 75, 77, 51. Since I haven't owned him, he's scored 3 times above 77, which was his high score for me. So that's just great. That's just typical Heaney for you, but yeah, just not an option. Jack Mcrae, I'm getting sick of him at this point, especially when I own him and I don't own Brayshaw and Mills, and he pumps out another plain 87. That's the second time this year as well that he struggled against Sydney. So, yeah, not too great. Is Mcrae a guy that you'd be looking at moving on, especially because he just isn't scoring these big 110 plus scores that Steele, Brayshaw, Mills, and Laird are going at the moment?
Yeah, I think he's definitely someone to consider. Tough matchup this week against the Saints. I know that Brayshaw had a monster against them, but I just never like when your players play against the Saints. I think they're quite restrictive, but obviously there's outliers. So
yeah, well, Brayshaw's
definitely someone to consider.
Brayshaw's averaging 162.5 against the Saints this year. So
right.
in the 2 games, he's just fantastic, which we'll talk about him obviously later. But yeah, Mcrae just very, very frustrating. What do we got here? Libba 74, that was quiet. So I just think that does show that his consistency of those 90 plus scores aren't going to be there like a Bont and that. So I don't know if he'll be a top 6 forward. He's probably on the cusp, but I'd almost rather a Brody who's just been consistent at the moment. Josh Dunkley, 68. Obviously, your -3 was disappointing. I'm sure that he'll bounce back, though. He always does. Bailey Dale got a big tag, so that was good intel from, I wanted to shout him out. Was it B Will? Was that his name? B Will. Follow on Twitter at BJWillow15. He messaged me on the Twitter space and said that he had inside information. If he had inside information, who knows? But he said that Dale was going to get a hard tag, and he did. And he got 57, and that included 10 kick-ins that he played on from. So if that wasn't for that, he would have only scored 27 points. So that's not great. And that's probably it. Dominic Bedeno got 40. Still looks like a good player, but I don't know if he'll hold his spot. And then Mcrae and Cameron got a 20 if anyone had him as well. So moving on to the next game. So you want to take this one away, James. What did you like from the Collingwood and North Melbourne game?
Yeah, I saw the last half of this. Just it's pretty odd game for what I saw. Like obviously North were well and truly out in front and kind of dominating the game. Which is probably a little bit, very unexpected. But then, I watched, Davis Uniacke's gun. He's a very, very good player. He's probably going to be a player for the future, potentially next year an option.
I mentioned people saying about
this year, but
yeah, I heard people mentioning about next year. So he's averaging 88.9. He's going to be, he could be that Brayshaw sort of esque player that next year takes his game to that sort of 105 region, maybe the Simpkin of this year, but next year. So he was great.
Sorry, Bailey. Just give me one minute. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's all good. While James goes and does that, I'll just speak with this game as well. So Jed Anderson, 142. He was big again. So good old Jeff Anderson, and the people call him. He was great. 33 disposals, 9 marks, 7 tackles. But we know that he can do this. He's always good every now and again. So, but since he got that 149 against St Kilda around 11, he went 74, 100, 57, 76, and then he got the 142. So he's just that roller coaster that he either goes really big or he doesn't have a great game. Taylor Um's got 100, so he got to the ton, but he obviously got, I think, got concussed at the end of the game, so I don't think he'll be playing the upcoming week. Zeeble got a 99, but he played in the forward line, so I still wouldn't be looking at him. I was looking in to see if he would play in the back line, but he didn't, so moving on from him. Scotty Penberg got a 97, so I know a couple of people jumped on him as a bit of a pod option. He's been okay, 106, 75, and 97 his last 3. Playing in the midfield. He was okay. Jack Crisp, bit similar last week, saved his score late. He wasn't going well in the first half. I think he was on 45. He had a really quiet first quarter, and then he just managed to get his sort of an okay score. So he's going to be a top 6 defender still, but I think he's going to be on the back end of the 3, the back end of the top 6, because he just hasn't been as high scoring as we get James back here. There we go. So, James, I was just talking about, so I was just saying about Anderson, obviously got another 142. He's just been a bit of a roller coaster. So if people want to, I wouldn't be advising to pick him up, but you could probably hold. And I was just talking about Pendles and Crisp. So you can continue your thoughts on the game as well.
Yeah. Taylor Adams was a guy I was looking at a few weeks ago, like a guy I was interested in for the price he was at, but I would have liked to see a 120 or a 130 from him. So I don't think he can do it, but it would have been a good pick, like a cool pick.
Yeah, I think he got concussed at the end of the game. He went off with a couple minutes to go, so I'm not sure if he's going to be missing, but that could have been a bit bigger if he was on for the last couple of minutes. Darcy
Cameron as well. He had a pretty poor first half and really pulled it back.
Yeah, I was saying that with Crisp as well. Crisp was a bit disappointing, and then they both came home. So I think Cameron's. We know what Darcy Cameron is at the moment. I think we still probably looked at moving him on when Grundy's back in the next fortnight. So that could be a play for some people, because he's obviously, I think he's owned by nearly 100% of the top 100. I think he's like 90 something percent. So it probably wouldn't be a bad move.
Do we know when Grundy's back?
Full training starts apparently this week, so probably within the next fortnight or so. I'd imagine. Yeah. I'd imagine that they're probably. I'd imagine Grundy will play a game in the VFL. That's just what I think. He's been out for so long, but they could just literally bring him straight back in. But I would imagine that early still probably plays not this upcoming week, the week after.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. Any other thoughts from the game?
I don't think any other relevant players really.
Yeah. Well, Nick Dacos he did well. He got an 88. He was looking like he was going to go big at one point, but it was sort of good as a non-owner that I didn't have to endure another 117 again. I know obviously a lot of us got off of him a few weeks ago, but and then Josh Simpkin as well, your mate, 85. So that was his first game in about a month's time that he gone under 100. So yeah, it's just the North Melbourne factor, just the inconsistencies there. And yeah, not much else to go from with this game. So Gold Coast, Richmond, again, probably another not as relevant fantasy game, but Noah Anderson, the match winner, that was a good moment. That was a fantastic moment seeing Gold Coast win. I really do hope they make finals now. I think a lot of people do as well. But yeah, Noah Anderson, 141. I think he had a massive last week. He kicked a couple of goals, including the match winner, and I think he had like near 60 points as well. So he was big. Ainsworth was very, very good as well, 130. So especially you got those two in draft, you'd be pretty happy with that. Rioli and Bolton did well with 188 each. So Toot Miller got a 106. I don't know if you watched this game, James, but do you obviously still think Toot Miller's a great option for the remaining part of the year, especially with an easy run coming up?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a lock for top 8. He'll just get it done. Low scores going to be base hundreds, and he'll pop in a few 130s plus there.
Yeah, no, 100%. He plays high game times. I played 89%, so he's fantastic. Ellis 105, good for draft again. Witsy 104. So if people are still holding on to him, I know a few people got rid of him this week, which is that's just going to happen. That they're just going to punch a good score in your face. Matty, round 95. He took a couple of, how many marks did he take? He took a couple of marks. Yeah, 2 marks. So that's 3 marks. That's now 3 marks in the last 2 weeks. And that's 5 marks his last 4 weeks. So he's averaging over a mark a game for the last couple of weeks. So he's getting a couple of those marks. So like, hopefully he'll just build on that. But he's been solid the last 5 weeks. 107, 106, 78, 84, 95. So hopefully that he can continue to build on that outside game and then become, because he's got the tackling. He's gone once under 7 tackles in the last, since round 9. And there's been a lot of them have been like 10, 11 tackles. So hopefully he keeps building on that. Jaden Short, frustrating, 92. As a non-owner, I'm sort of glad I don't own him. But as an owner yourself, James, is he a guy that you're looking at moving on? Just hasn't got that same ceiling that he had when he was playing defence.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I will do it this week just because I like the matchup against North.
Yeah, that's a good matchup this week.
So, but yeah, I'm not comfortable having him back there either. So.
Yeah, it's funny that those top 3 guys in Doherty, Sinclair and Dawson, besides those 3, there's not really any other guys that you can really count on to get your hundreds every week. So it's a bit of a blanket over all those guys. But yeah, Short's probably realistically now probably going to go at low 90s to mid 90s for the rest of the year. I don't see him as a 100 plus guy. Art's got 71. So if someone's looking for a cheap guy, he's going to be under 275 still. So he's probably going to play some games the rest of the year. So could be an option if you're looking there. Baker 62. So if anyone did jump on him, I'll be jumping off now. He's a very, very good player, just not a fantasy player. Unfortunately, Noah Cumberland looked really good. Coming on as a sub, he's a 190k player, so he's probably going to hold his spots. Mid forward. He's probably going to hold his spots, so he could be a good option to bring in as a downgrade option. Toby Nankervis 46. That's a bit disgusting of a score. And I think apparently he got injured as well. He got injured and Soldo got injured, so Richmond are probably not going to have any rucks against North Melbourne. So I think Goldie's going to have another good game. And then Tom Lynch got injured early. Roses got injured as well, and that's probably it. So moving on to the next game, which is we'll do St Kilda Freo. So you take it away, but I assume I know for the first play you're going to speak about.
Yeah, I didn't see this, but Brayshaw 144, just best pick of the year. He's very good. Good player.
Did you start with him?
Yeah, I did. He was. I think I started with him at M1, so quite M1. Cheap in there. Turned out that was the right way to go. So maybe Laird's not a good option next year. But
yeah, 100%. 100% Brayshaw was the definite pick. I think someone asked me pre-season, Josh Kelly or Brayshaw. I think it was James Walker from memory that he's in the chat every now and again. But I think I said Brayshaw. I hope I did. I'm pretty sure I did. But he's just so good. 59 points in the last quarter to raise that to 144. It was literally that last quarter when I'm like, no, I cannot watch Freo anymore without not owning Brayshaw, because he's so good. And Sydney's a tougher matchup, but it's an Optus, so that's why I'm comfortable still bringing him in. I don't think he'll get the tag because Ryan Clark will go to a Jordan Clark or even like a Hayden Young. I don't see him tagging a midfielder, but would you? Actually, good question for you, Andrew Brayshaw or Touk Miller. Who would you be picking as a pickup this week? Because that's the decision I've got to make.
I think I'd probably be going Touk.
Really?
Yeah, better run. I think. I think it's just probably easier matchups. I think there won't probably be too much in them in terms of scoring. Probably a little bit cheaper as well.
Yeah, is that just because you don't want me to catch up to you?
No, I have Touk and Brayshaw, so it doesn't.
I know. The funny thing is, for people that are playing along at home, I am like 1,500 points behind James, so I'm not catching up. So yeah, I actually I just checked as well. I moved up 6 spots. 32-26. That's pretty cool. 6 spots. It's nice when you move up 6 spots. But yeah, it's always better when you move up from third to second. I'd still take that any day of the week.
I moved up 1.
Yeah. Jack Steele, fantastic. Beautiful. Warney's in the house. Great watch, boys. Thanks, Warney. Appreciate that, mate. I'm assuming it's Warney. Warney normally is the the user for the DT Talk stuff. So thanks, Warnie, for tuning in.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, DT Talks asked, can James help Calvin nail a captain? Yeah,
I think probably anyone can at the moment.
yeah, I know. It's funny because like people again like about the Neil thing, but it's funny how these teams that don't tag or very rarely tag all of a sudden go, actually, we're going to tag today. So, like, for example, the 2-1s, Neil today against Essendon, I knew he was going to get some attention. I just didn't expect him to get a hard tag like that from Caldwell. And then Jordan Dawson, Hawthorn don't tag, and Finn McGuinness was tagging him. Just quietly, I was hoping that McGuinness would get a corky and make his way off. So then Dawson could actually go, that's a bit of the sick on me. But no, I'm sort of glad he didn't get injured. I don't want anyone to get injured, but yeah, so back onto this game here. So yeah, so Jack Steele, 121. Now, if I said to you, who would you pick out of Steele, Brayshaw, or Took? Would that change to Steele over Took, or?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, is that just because of price and that?
I also think Steele's a good chance to be the number 1 scorer for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
I think he's back to what he was back half of last year. Well, wouldn't surprise me if he goes at something stupid, 125 for the rest of the year, or 130 even. Like, I could see it happening.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to round 19 and 20. So he's got West Coast and Hawthorn in back-to-back weeks. That'd be pretty cool. He's got Bulldogs and Geelong either side of that. So he's got a bit of a tricky run, but I can't remember if it was you that mentioned it or someone else, it was Eric or me. I can't remember. Someone mentioned on the Twitter Spaces that Steele always plays better when he plays against the harder opposition. So
yeah, I
think that he'll be fine. I think it's probably good that he's got a tougher run for the rest of the year. So yeah, he's fantastic. Jack Sinclair as well, just another player that I love watching. He's a gun. I'd probably have him over Dawson as the number 2 defender behind Doc, only because I think there's less of an attention risk with Sinclair, because I think they'd always like to go to Brad Hill because he's the guy that, I don't know, they just seem to like to tag.
Even though he runs it more. You can shut him down.
I just think Sinclair is the better player, and I think Sinclair is fantastic. So if you don't have Sinclair, I'd definitely be looking at him. Brad Crouch has continued his solid year. He's averaging 102.9. So he's been good with the 106. Jordan Clark, who I think could cop the Ryan Clark tag. He had 30 disposals and 103. So there you go. Ron Marshall, he was bad at the first half, but he had a big second half. I think he had a big last quarter. So that's 300s in a row. It just sort of makes you think how good he would be going if he was a solo ruck. So if he's a solo ruck next year, I'd imagine a lot of people are going to start with him. Will Brodie was solid with 93. I guess it was not too bad you trading him out, because I don't think he's ever going to burn you. But what do you see Brodie going at for the rest of the year in terms of average?
Probably the 90, 95 mark where he's been the whole year. I think the Dockers have a few tough matchups coming up for the rest of the year, do they? Is that right?
I think they've got an okay run. So they've got Sydney this week, Optus, and they've got Richmond, Melbourne, Bulldogs, West Coast Giants. So it's a bit up and down.
Up and down. Probably around that 90 to 95 mark, which is probably at the moment just outside of the top 6 where you need to be at that 100 mark, really. So
yeah,
I think you can trade him out if you've got nothing else to do, or if there's a player you want to get in. I did it this week to go to English because I just wanted to get him. So I did that.
Actually, I'm just checking. Did Matt get on English this week as well? No, he didn't. So Matt's still got to bring in Speakano. What? No, not Sydney game. I want it back on the Fremantle St Kilda game. Sean Darcy, 86. So I actually, how much points do I lose not going? Oh, hang on. Oh, that's right. We got DPPs. I think Warnie just sent me the link for the DPP. So nothing exciting, he said so. But we'll go through them in a sec when we finish this game. But thank you very much, Warnie. Exclusive with the first people releasing the DPPs. But yeah, so Cripps got 87, English got 99, and Toot got 106, and Darcy 86. So what did I lose? I lost 6 points. Oh, that's all right. That's nothing too bad. Would have been. I was all week. I was like Brayshaw or Took, and I was saying Took, but it would have been good if I got Brayshaw instead. But yeah, Darcy, I think you can still move him on. Is he still a guy that you're looking at moving on?
Darcy, yeah. I think so. If I move him on, he'll probably go to a Gawn or although I have English in my forward line, so potentially could be it's a good option for me to get out because I could do a lot with it. But yeah, I don't think he's in the top 2 rucks for the rest of the year, really. I think O'Brien will outscore him anyway. Cameron probably is pretty close. And then you've got English and Gawn. So for me, he's just too far down that order at the moment.
Yeah, I probably agree. Is that a trade that you're maybe looking at doing this week, Darcy to Gawn?
I'm not like it's something I'll think about. I don't know really my trades yet.
Obviously, it's not even lockouts lifted yet. So
so I don't know, but I just took note that because I wanted to trade out Darcy last week, but I couldn't do that, so I didn't really want the matchup against the 2 Saints rucks, but he scored all right for me, 86, so that's not too bad. So that was the matchup I didn't want to have him for, but now that I've gone through it, maybe I keep him and trade elsewhere. So I don't know.
Yeah, no. And then Gresham got 55 as well. That was probably only a relevant player. So here we go. So the DPP additions for fantasy. There's, again, as Warney said, nothing too exciting here. So Matt Cottrell added forward status. Archie Perkins added mid status. Tom Atkins added mid status. Liam Shields added forward status. Will Day added mid status. Jeremy Finlayson ruck status. Ryan Marshall added forward. That could be important for next year if he's a solo ruck. That Ryan Marshall one's probably the most interesting one because that's a thing that could be good for next year. Bailey Williams added mid. Brady Hoff added defender status. Of course he did the week I'd get rid of him. But the big one of note, if anything, is Harry Himmelberg added defender status, obviously, which was no surprise. So he might be a guy that I'm considering swinging him back and keeping him in defence. But
potentially that could be a good option.
Yeah, there you go. And then we'll go to the Port GWS game. So what did you like from this game, James?
I didn't see this game, but based off the scoring, pretty predictable, I think, apart from, Whitfield. That was very unexpected.
Whitfield.
Like I didn't bring him. I thought it was bringing him in for a lot of the week, but I didn't like this matchup. I didn't think he'd score 40.
And you said that on Friday. You said that on Friday as well. You said, I don't like the matchup against Port Adelaide. And I think you said something about wingmen aren't great against Port, and look what happened. And he didn't do well. So again, they're the great calls. Imagine if you'd made that call, like you might be because you brought in English as your upgrade. If you didn't do that, you could be like 5th or 6th potentially, which is still isn't bad, but it's certainly a lot different than second. But he was not great.
Yeah. So Whitfield, I know people are saying trade him out. That's what I've heard, like on Twitter and stuff. But I don't think I'd be trading him out if I had him.
Would you still have him as a top 6 defender?
Probably, yeah. I think, I know Giants have a really tough run as well, so that was another reason why I didn't want to get him in this week, because he is one of those players that can give you a 130 or he can give you, a 50. Like it really depends on how the team goes, I reckon, with how he scores. And in that patch when he came back from his injury, Giants had easy games. They, pumped North. They had a good game against the Hawks, and they're like those type of games. When the team does well, he's going to score well. But if the Giants aren't actually that good a team, which I think they really should be, I don't know why they're so bad. Maybe he won't. Maybe he won't be as good a scorer as we all think.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm actually considering moving him on just because of that tough run, and he has got the ability to give you 40. He's not playing in his right position. He's playing as a forward, moving up the ground and then moving to a wing. He's not playing that behind the ball. So
someone that good should not be giving you a 40. Like that's...
No, I know that's what I mean. Whitfield's a fantastic player. Very frustrating. Anything else from the game you want to speak about?
Taranto, he looked good. Probably confirmed himself as a top 6. Looks like a good option to bring in too. So for me personally, I could be bringing him in. Rosie bounced back very, very solid.
He was good. Yeah, very good.
I mean, not that I saw it, but 125. He kicked 24 disposals and kicked 4. It's a very good game. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 though, so I think you can still move him on. if you held him or if you traded him out, bad luck. That's the way it goes. Yeah, I wouldn't be bringing him in. And I think those Giants midfielders, apart from Cogs, it's probably too many players in there for someone else rather than a Taranto and a Cogs, because they look like the two best scorers.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be targeting a Kelly or a.
I wouldn't be either. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been off Kelly for a couple of weeks now. I know he had a big one last week and he was good, but I just think with Hopper back, I don't, like Kelly. Actually, fun enough, Kelly still had the equal most CBAs for a Giant with 15 of 18. So that was a positive. Canelio obviously had 15. Canelio would obviously just spoke about him before. Canelio's just been fantastic. Another 118. I know the guy played in my league matchup. Went Canelio captain. He had a good week. I think he scored like 2,300. But yeah, Canelio was fantastic. But and yeah, so Taranto was down at only 6 of 18, so he was still under 50%. But the thing he's doing is he's doing like a Walsh, where he's going up the ground and playing as that fourth midfielder. So that just seems to be a thing that teams are doing. So I think Taranto's still going to be a good scorer. I don't think you can look much to see.
How many tackles did he get?
He ended up with 7, so that was good as well.
So that's very solid too.
Yeah, but the thing with Taranto is I actually hope he doesn't go to a full-time mid, because I'd much rather him be a forward next year, because obviously with forwards we've struggled with options. Next year, if he's priced in the 90s, that could be a good pick to start with. So yeah, I'd almost rather him not do as well. Butters 99 as well was not too bad on return. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Or have we pretty much done everything in this game?
Yeah, don't think so. That's about it, really.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, Callum Brown only got 29, so people that brought him in as a rookie. And then Jace Burgoyne 44. So not great scores, but hopefully they just hold their spots and they just keep generating more money. Jacob Ware was disappointing with a 34, so he's probably a guy I might look to move out. Have you still got Jacob Ware in your team?
I never had him. So
never had him.
No.
Okay, yeah. So don't have to worry about that one then.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dan Houston probably the only other one, 62. Actually, Cumming was another one, 66. A few people looking at him, but
yeah, that was a bit disappointing. I thought.
Yeah, he's still at 20 disposals, but just the fact that Giants aren't playing that great, I don't think you need to bring a guy like Cumming in. I just don't see him being consistent. Himmelberg 84 as well was solid. Last quarter he moved into that sort of ruck forward role, but I'm sure that he'll be fine.
They do that a lot, don't they? He plays the first 3 down back, and then they swing him into the ruck forward.
Yeah. It's a bit frustrating as an owner, but hey, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so we'll move on to the final 3 Sunday games. Well, if you guys have got questions, make sure you get your question in the live chat. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, which we're streaming on all 3 now, so make sure you go and follow on all those. But more importantly, subscribe to YouTube. That's where the main source of everything that happens, and we're 14 away from 500. So make sure you. If you can help out, get to 500, that'd be very much appreciated. So Brisbane and Essendon. So Zach Merritt, 127. That's now 3 scores over, I think, 118. So I haven't been huge on Merritt, obviously, for most of the year, but the fact he's looked that good in the last 3 weeks, and he's actually got a very good run home, 118, 128, 127 in the last 3. He's got Gold Coast, Collingwood, North Melbourne, GWS, Port, and Richmond. Is he a target? I don't know if you own him, James, but if you do or you don't, is he just a target that people should be looking at?
Yeah, I think he's a definite option. He looked very, very good again today. Last week I was a little bit skeptical because he kicked those 3 goals to get to his score.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Today he did it with tackles and marks. So could be Merritt of old for the last 5-6 weeks. Probably a good option to bring in. I can't bring in a midfielder at the moment, but so I won't be getting him. But if you need to bump up that teammate spot.
I saw that you've got Josh Kelly. Is a Josh Kelly to Zach Merritt move something that you may not roll out either this week or even in like a couple of weeks in the future?
Yeah, I won't rule it out. Maybe in fortnight's time or something like that. But most teams are still running with a Short or a Sicily.
Deal with that first,
or an equivalent. So I'd rather do that before I trade out Josh Kelly.
Yeah, I agree with that. DC Talk Warney said, "Good luck, James." So there you go.
Thanks. Cheers, mate.
What else we got? Jai Caldwell got the best of Neil, and then did a lot better than him. So I got a 112. So he's always shown that he can be a good scorer when playing in the midfield, and he's been playing the midfield lately. And that's the other thing about Merritt as well. Darcy Parish is out for about 4 weeks. So if he's out for 4 weeks, I think that makes Merritt an even better option because he'll be the main guy in there. Langford was good for a 108. Really got his first good score in a long time, the 106. McCluggage, 98. Owners that brought him in this week probably hope for a little bit more, but I'm sure that he'll be fine. I wouldn't be worrying too much about him. Jared Lyon, 68. So he's only averaging 94 for the year. So that's just a big drop off from that 115 that he was doing last year, and then that 120 he was doing the back half of last year. Massimo D'Ambrosio, I went him out of the 3 rookies, and of course he's the one that gets injured. So it was a corky. So I'm hoping Warney actually might know more about this because I actually didn't see much of this game. But if someone can let me know how bad that corky was, if they reckon he missed time, I hope not, because he was on 55 at like with 5 minutes to go in the last quarter, I think it was. So hopefully he'll be fine because he can score pretty well. Nick Martin, 48. So that's Nick Martin. That's clearly his worst score for the year. So if people are still rolling with him, that's now 5 games under 90. So I would be definitely moving him on if you still have got him. And yeah, that's probably it from that game. Oh, here we go. So Warney said he came back on the ground. I know he did come off and then he went back on and came back off again. And then probably tactical. Yeah, hopefully he'll be fine. Hopefully he'll be fine because if he is fine, I'll get rid of Ware instead. So moving on to the middle game. So Hawthorn and Adelaide. James, what did you like from this game?
I mean, Rory Laird, absolute gun. He's probably going to be, M1 for the rest of the year, or at least in that M2 or 3 spot. So I think anyone who doesn't have him, fine to get him. Even though he's going to cost you $1 million, I still think you can. Maybe no. If he goes, he's going to be close to $1 million. So I'd probably look elsewhere if you don't have him, like a Steele or a Brayshaw. I don't think there'll be too much between those 3, or a Took or someone like that. But potentially he could just brain it for the last 6 weeks.
So you were saying what $1 million you probably wouldn't pay up for that?
I think. Yeah, what's still going to be under 900?
Yeah,
like I'd much rather go there, save $100,000. That's a lot of money. So if it was between those 2 or a Brayshaw, Brayshaw's probably going to be what, 60K difference, something like that. Took's going to be, 80K. So there is a lot of money to be saved there. But also you're probably getting in the best player for the last 6 weeks. So that's a line ball 50-50 call, I reckon.
I would just say stuff it. Bring him in. You got to bring him in. He's just
yeah.
Like, I know someone commented on that because I put up a poll seeing if he'd get the 31 points he needed in the last quarter to be about $1 million. So, and someone did actually say that he's got to be in the pig discussion. If he does this the rest of the year and then starts next year, he's got to be in the pig discussion. So Warney, mate, as a Laird fanboy myself, Warney, make it happen. Make it happen. We need.
I reckon he needs like 1 year over 120, and then you can.
If there was any negative from Laird, is that the only thing he needs to do is he just needs to start getting these 130s and getting some 150s and plus, and then that's going to start the pig conversation. That's probably the one thing. He's a more consistent. He actually is a bit like. Okay, and I'm not saying that he is exactly like this player, right? I'm talking about scoring, right? Gary Ablett was very similar in around the 120s. He was and he had the ceiling of the 160s, but he was a lot around the 120 mark. Whereas your Mcrae's not pig. Sorry, how dare I put Mcrae for Mitchell, Rockcliffe, Swanee? They were the boys that could go the 160 plus. So there you go. And here we go. So Warney said here, midfielders who have got pig status have gone 128 plus for more than one season, and that's the point, obviously, that I'm trying to make as well. He's got to get that ceiling up. And then that might start the ball rolling. So hopefully he's a Laird fanboy that he can go big. But yes, anyway, continue with the game review, James.
Yeah, Ben Keys as well. I think great run for the Crows. Definitely. Just purely based on that run, I think they've got the best run over the next month or 5 weeks coming home. So could be a very good point of difference there. Not sure what he's priced at, but Probably,
his break-in was 87, so he's 793 is going to be over 800k this week, but he's still going to be
that's cheap.
low
Yeah,
800s. So
definite
he's gone
option there.
110, 123, 118 his last three.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that, to be honest, but unfortunately, I probably can't. Sicily, I thought, this could be the game. He gets a ton, but probably all right to still move on. Dawson, just one of those games when you get tagged.
He was very impressive. Actually, I thought he was quite impressive. Especially in last quarter, he got 35, but he had 10 tackles. So we do see a lot of these players that don't get tackles. Like look at Neil. Neil got tagged today. I think that McGuinness tag was one of the hardest tags I've ever seen, and he still got to a 76. So
yeah,
Dawson's
10 tackles.
Very good.
Yeah, he's a fantastic footballer. Anyone else really? I don't think. O'Brien probably
solid 90.
Yeah, I would have, as an owner, probably would have liked a bit more in that matchup. Yeah. But so be it. He'll. I think if you wanted to bring in, he's probably getting a bit too expensive now. Probably might have missed the boat on that one. I'd much prefer to go to an English or a Gawn. If you're looking at a ruck. And I think, if you want to move him on to get up to one of those two, I think that's fine as well.
Yeah.
Tom Mitchell, this is a great matchup, and 86. I wouldn't be targeting him at all.
Yeah, as an owner, I'm still going to hold him for 2 weeks. He's got West Coast and North Melbourne, but probably once those 2 weeks are gone, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say goodbye to the pig, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But once a pig, always a pig. So, as the traders say.
8 kicks, 20 handballs. That's just
the difference is, like, if you look at Lloyd had 13 kicks, 29 handballs, but he tackles and gets those points, which is what Mitchell's done in the past. But it's just this year he's actually very similar to Mcrae. There's not actually that much difference between him and Mcrae at the moment. They're both not getting those marks and tackles and stuff. So and this is one thing I wanted to note as well, because I think that was pretty much it from that game as well. I think it was really like you had your Matt Crouch got a 99. He got a fair bit of the ball. Sligo low score. He can move him on your bench, and Parnell 52 is also another guy you can move on. But it's a good point from DT Talk here and Warney, who's controlling the account at the moment. So he said, not sure if we have many pigs to come. We've lost a lot of big ceiling scores. Haven't seen a 180 plus score since 2019. But we had Brayshaw this year with a 181. But that's the only one, I think, since then. So that's what I've noticed. Like, besides last week, where we had a lot of your 130s and stuff. So like we had your Dawson, Sinclair, Laird, Neil, Petrarca, there was Oliver, there was a lot of other guys that went over 120, 130. And this week again was very similar. So we only had the two guys, Viney and Duncan, on the Thursday night. Then you only had Mills on the Friday night go over 120. Davies Uniacke and Anderson, not many people own, went over 120. Gold Coast was only Anderson and Ainsworth, which not many people own. Brayshaw and Steele were the two in the St Kilda Freo game. Only Rosie from the Port game. No one from the West Coast Carlton game. I think it was just Laird, Moore, and Hardwick with a 3 from the Crows Hawthorn game. There was only Merritt. So there's not a lot of big 150 scores that we're having at the moment. So, but Warney said no one's gone over 184. Which is where he's just went to. So, but he's right, though. We're not seeing any of these Rocky, Swanee, Titch numbers of these 180s, 190s, even up near the 200 mark. So, I don't know
Probably
if we
just goes to show how good they were, to be honest. I don't think it's that these guys are bad or that you can't do it in this environment that it's currently in. It's probably just the other guys were better. That's why they're pigs.
Yeah, I know, that's right. The feeling of, like, especially Swanee, having him captain, just knowing that you're going to get a 130 plus. I remember there was, can't remember what year it was. It was the year that he ended with a 187 in the last round. I remember the back half of that year, he was going at like 140 something. And he just punched out 140s, 150s at will. And I was like, just leave him captain. I just didn't change to captain. So, yeah, he's great. And yeah, they're all the pigs are good. So, but yeah, very good point there. We're done with the game. So the final game was the West Coast Carlton game. So Hearn was good. Obviously, no Witherden is obviously going to help. So I just I couldn't trust him as an option. Like he's been solid lately, but I couldn't trust him as an option, especially West Coast and just the injury risk. Kennedy was good. Doherty, junk time. A lot of the Carlton guys did get involved in like 40+ point quarters in the last. So Doherty was great with a 114. My boy Gaffey, Calvin's boy Gaffey, 109. He looked good. So I don't know. If he did move clubs next year, he would be value next year, priced at 81 or around that mark. But yeah, that's another conversation for another. I know for fact my mate Ryan will be telling me to shut up because he just doesn't want me to complain about Gaff to him anymore. George Hill Chera was good with a 106. Both Curnow and Mcrae, they are just such a good forward pairing. They're so good. 10 goals between them. They had 8 shots each. And they might have kicked maybe 1 or 2 like Wayward or saying maybe, I don't know. Hill at 94 was solid. Walsh was good, but I think he had a really big last quarter to even get to that 93. So if Walsh got forward status, which I was partly hoping he would have enough, but clearly he didn't, and he's an option. But yeah, Walsh had 48 points in the last quarter to get to a 93. So yeah, not too great there, but you still be happy with 93. Paddy Cripps, 87. So would you? I know you don't own Cripps. Would you be looking at moving him on, especially with Geelong coming up this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I still haven't really changed my opinion. Don't like him as a fantasy player, really. And he needs to have Brownlow 3 vote games to hit a 120. So
yeah, and if I'm talking about Walsh having a big last quarter, Cripps was exactly the same. He had about a 40-something point last quarter to get to an 87. So as an owner, I was happy he saved his score. I'll move him on. I think he's more that 90 guy now, not like 95-ish guy. He just doesn't have that same ceiling like he did at the start of the year. So yeah, I'll be moving him on and hopefully to a Brayshaw. That'd be very nice. That's what I want to do. DT again here said in 2019 where Cornelio with the 192. I remember that as well. That was a massive game. Whitfield 190. The one coming off of his concussion. Or was that the 180? I can't remember. But still, 190, and then Dunkley with the 189. I remember there was another one. I don't know if it was 2019, but I remember Mcrae played Richmond in the final game of the final game of the season a few years ago, and he got like a massive score against Richmond. So, but yeah, we're not getting any of those scores anymore, which is disappointing as fantasy coaches. But hey, that's unfortunately what happens with fantasy. Tim Kelly 74, she's just a roller coaster, so just can't trust him as an option really ever. Durden 62, that was good. That was the first week in a little bit that he isn't going to be going down in price on my bench, so happy with that. And that's probably it from that game. Hoff 43, I got rid of him. I know he had defense stats, but at least I probably got rid of him with his worst score in a little while. And yeah, that's probably it. And Greg Clark came on, got 0 points, so people still got him. I'd be moving him on. But yeah, so there was one thing I was going to do before we look ahead. I can't remember what it was. We'll get into questions anyway. So if you have got questions, put them in live chat. Get advice from the second overall coach. You can't get much better advice than the only thing. Him and Matt are the 2 best guys to go to at the moment. That's for sure. For advice, because they just know what they're doing. And the traders, of course, can't leave the traders out. Traders with the advice and Hat Chat. There's a lot of guys out there. Anyway, Andrew Griffiths says, do we trade Cameron to English this week?
Yep. If you want, I'm pretty comfortable. English being the number 1 ruck. I don't think Cameron will be in the top 2. So if that's your biggest point upgrade on your team, then yep, tick that off.
I'd agree. I think it might be even a good play as well to jump off of a guy like a Darcy Cameron, who is owned by a lot of people at the top. So that could be you could go a week early and move him on. He's not going to be poor, but I don't know how many big scores he's got left before Grundy comes back. Moon Boy is here. He said 2,200, just so many passengers. Got sucked into good scores early in the season, then got stuck with them always the way. Yeah, unfortunately. So, like for me, Cripps is an example that I've been sort of stuck with in a way. Mcrae to a lesser extent, but I still would much rather a Mills and a Brayshaw at this point. Almost a Brody. Brody's been fantastic, but I probably would have moved him on at this point. Maybe even a Sicily I might have moved on, but he did score well this week. But yeah, there's a few guys there and I know there's a lot more people. I'm just going from my team. There's a lot of people there that we would have moved on. Andrew Griffith says, do I trade Oliver if he misses a week?
If your team's completed, then you trade him. If you've got a rookie still there, then you upgrade the rookie and you hold him.
Couldn't have said any better myself. Exactly word for word what I would have said. Yep, definitely do that. Tim Ashworth, wow, scored 24-37 this week with Which, Short, Sicily. And should we hold Oliver? Well, obviously, as James just said, then if you've got a completed team, Tim, then I would be moving him on because at this point, it's just points. It's just the most important thing. But if you've got a rookie or two, then I would be keeping Oliver and upgrading. But the other thing with Oliver being over, like being 960, you could always go Oliver down to a Ben Keys, for example, pocket yourself 160K and upgrade that rookie if that is enough money. But that's just something there. But 24-37, that would put you very high up in the week because Matt was 163rd for the week with 23.78. So Luke Elton is in the top sort of few. He came 17th. He got a 24-37. Okay, there you go. So you would have come in the top 20 for the week. God, I'd love to know what that feels like. Yeah, no, good. Well done, Tim. Good stuff, mate. Beautiful score. No, big score, I should say, not beautiful score. Shannon Baron said, my trades are Nick Martin, Saligo to a 190K bench rookie and a mid. I'm thinking Bailey Smith or Mills. Actually, good question. So what do you think about Bailey Smith coming straight back? Would you want to wait a week just to see exactly, or because it's not an injury and because it was just suspension, you could just launch into him straight away?
Yeah, I'd jump straight in. Is he back this week, is he?
Yeah. Suspension was ended this week.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, he's 872 break even 140.
Yeah, so I'd definitely be comfortable jumping into that in your forward line. I might do that actually.
Would you pick him over Mills? It's about 20K difference. I'll be less actually.
Yes.
I think I would as well actually because it's no suspension, and I think Bailey Smith could be big this week because he's going to want to prove a point. He's going to want to come out and go big. So yeah, that's a definitely good move. Not many people are going to do that this week. That's something I might even consider as a forward. Andrew Griffiths. Oh, here we go. Steele or Brayshaw? That's a tough one. But I think you said Steele before, didn't you?
I'll say Steele. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I'll say Steele as well because he's cheaper because they're just so good. But Brayshaw is just so good. Brayshaw is the Toot Miller of this year. Like his work rate is incredible. Like he runs around like and just
Brayshaw's the best runner in the game by a mile. He is unbelievable.
Yeah. He's definitely he's fantastic. Love him. And I need him ASAP. So but yeah, Steele's the guy you go there. He's cheaper. Steele's going to be about 885, somewhere around there, whereas Brayshaw's going to be about 930, 935. So yeah, you're going to save a bit of money by going Steele. Andrew Griffiths, VC Laird next week is an easy decision. 100%. He's up against Collingwood, so I'm probably going to go Laird VC into a if I bring in Took against Essendon, or if I bring in Brayshaw against Sydney or someone like that. So yeah, definitely. Charlie Bohachik, Lockie Hill, crying face. Yeah, we all feel you, mate. Not me because I didn't put in captain, but I'm VC and I had him in my team, so I was very upset, and I definitely thought he was a great captain option. So, but yeah, not too great from Lockie Hill. Charlie also said more people need Dylan Moore in their team. So. He's been very good this year. I just couldn't trust him because you just don't know what his role is. Like he's a forward that moves up, then he's midfield, deep forward. Sort of it changes week to week. So I just don't see him being a consistent option. So Tim is up to, with that big score, he's up to 322nd overall. It's good stuff, mate. We've got a few people here that are doing really well. The Truly Bales gang, or it'll soon be the Bales gang. I'll probably change my channel name to just Bales, but yep. What do we got? Andrew Griffith says, my trades, I'm thinking Oliver to Brayshaw or Steele and Dacos to Sink. And wait, both? Oh, yeah, you can, of course, because Oliver to Brayshaw and, Oliver to Steele and Dacos to Brayshaw, tick them off.
Yep, I like that. Yeah. They're nice.
Yeah, 100%. What do we got here? Porter Dennis says, is Dan Houston someone to trade out this week, or does Whitfield go first?
If it was me, I'd be trading Houston before I trade Whitfield.
Yep, no, 100% agree. I've just never been a big fan of having Dan Houston in my team after last year.
Yeah,
but,
Too rocky.
I know that I'm not a big fan of having Whitfield in my team at the moment either, but I'd be getting rid of Houston first. Cuz Judd got 23-10. It's a good score, mate. Anyone want to get any scores over 2,300 this week were big. And if you were like Tim and got 24-37, then it was absolutely massive. So, mate, he's coming for you. He's coming for you and Matt at the top. He's 326. He's probably still about 1,000 points off because the way that it's working, like top 10 a fair way. Up, what have we got here? Tim said, "Can I join your league next year?" It's a money paid league, so if you got $30, I'm sure that we can work something out. But then again, if you're scoring this well, I don't want you in my league. So I want to win the league. But yeah, that's fine. Now, Tim, we'll see how we go next year.
I'm happy to join as well, Bailey.
No. I don't want the second AFL coach you're going in. No, I'm sure that will definitely happen, James. What do we got? We've got a few comments here. Good to see people in the live chat. I don't know if it helps out with algorithm and stuff. It might, so that'd be good if people are doing that. We got a fair few here. So where are we? Answered that. Yep, Shannon Baron saying Brayshaw will get close to. I don't know if that's about pig status, but he's certainly doing pig things at the moment. Brayshaw's still very young as well. So he's I think is he 24, 23 or something? He's still very young. I'm gonna look that up here. I actually just want to know. I know Oliver's young as well, but Oliver's just a bloody beast.
You can't go early on the pig status, I reckon. Like you got to do body of work.
I love the way that Warney and that do the pig status. You've got to see a sustained period of probably about 2 seasons worth. Like even with a guy like Toot Miller, he wouldn't get pig status because he had a big year last year, but this year's been up and down. So that's why they don't go early. Like me and Warney have agreed on this for ages. Brent Stanton was a piglet. Like he was fantastic. He had the pig tendencies, but he got tagged and got did you ever see Swanee get tagged out of? He got tagged, but did you ever see him score poorly? Not very often at all, and he would still get tagged and get a 140. So that's what you got to do to be a pig. Brayshaw's 22. Yeah, just so good. Is he birthday is coming up later in the year? So yeah, it's just fantastic. So Charlie asked who did Warney captain. Warney said Laird safe. Yep, 100% Laird's just a safe option. Charlie Bodchick says, I still have Kemp, Jordan, Boyd, and Cummins in my back line. All didn't play. I have only 8K in the bank. What should I do with my trades this week? It's hard, Charlie, because we probably both need to know your team and that. But probably the advice that we'd probably both agree on is try and just get your rookies off field. Try and get the best available player on your field and just go from there. I guess you'd probably agree with that, James.
Yep, one offer every week, and then by the end they'll be gone.
Yeah, no, 100%. This is a good check question. Shannon Baron, Miller with a good run coming up. Would you go Miller over Mills?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I probably would as well. They both got the ceiling, but I just think there's a lot more certainty in Toot's role than Mills. Mills can just get chucked behind the ball, which I still find ridiculous, but he was still on the wing at times as well in the game. He just tackled his way to a big score. So, DT talk, Roland 22 of mids for James for the end of year, even just top 5.
Top 5, okay. We'll go Steele,
Is this
Laird.
in order?
Yep. Steele, Laird, Brayshaw.
Steele, Laird, Brayshaw, yep.
I think they're a comfortable top 3. And then I'll go Miller.
Yep.
And then Oliver.
5. Who actually just for to finish off the 8? Who would be your last 3 midfielders? Doesn't have to be in order, but just the last 3.
Lockie Neal, Callum Mills.
Yep. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying here. Who's going to be the final guy that you chuck in there?
Maybe a Zach Merritt.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I don't mind that. The only other guys I'd probably say are in the mix, Cam Guthrie. I haven't been a huge fan of his for the year, but he just gets it done every week. So he's a guy there. Ben Keys has probably got to be back in the conversation with 3 really good scores in a row. Petrarca is still averaging 100 and I think he's averaging like 108 with taking away that 40. So he's probably in the conversation, but I think he's
Petrarca won't be
outside
in
of
there.
those. No, I don't think he will, but just a bit of a special mention for my boy Track. And Mcrae, if he can somehow go big. The pod option that could finish in the top 8 be maybe Hugh McCluggage. That's probably the only other pod guy. But yeah, I think Merritt at the moment is probably the guy that's got to be in there. So there you go. Joe Keys has said, is Oliver a trade? If so, do you go Steele or Mills? So obviously we've answered Oliver trade. It depends, obviously, if your team is fully complete. If it is, you trade. If it's not, then you just give the rookie. But Steele or Mills? So you obviously said Took over Mills, but you said Steele over Took. So would you go Steele over Mills? Yep. 100%. Porter Dennis, who are the best defenders and midfielders around the 800K mark to bring in?
Best defenders.
Well, obviously, we mentioned Ben Keys was one. That's
Ben
about
Keys,
that 800K mark.
Number one.
I'm just looking here. Merritt is going to be too expensive, so he'll be like 840 now. So you can't really count him now. What do you think about Angus Brayshaw?
I'd rather get a Jack Crispin than a Brayshaw. I think he's going to be around that 800K mark. I like Isaac Cumming. I think he could be really pushing for the top 6 as well. Don't be too put off from his score. I think because Port just smoked him. I think all the Giants players, because usually the Giants are a very high-scoring fantasy team. And I think
Bulldogs and them.
Yeah, Bulldogs and Giants. And so I wouldn't look too much into his poor score or Whitfield's as well. So Whitfield could definitely be an option back there. They're probably the 3 guys I would look at.
Yeah, I like Petrarca as well, just because he has got a pretty good last 3 games, Collingwood, Carlton and Brisbane. So, I could see him going big. So I don't mind him as well, but he has got a bit of a lower floor than the other guys.
I'm pretty sure this week as well, just quickly on that. Pretty sure this week the D's are playing Port in at TIO.
Yep.
Isn't that the NT stadium?
Yes, yeah. I think that game, is that game during the day? Yeah, that game's on a Sunday afternoon, so that'll probably be okay.
Weather's not too big an issue then.
Yeah,
because I just remember there was one game where the Saints played there earlier in the year. I think it might have been Saints and Port, and it was just
that was
humid and dewy.
That was Casale Stadium. That's right, the one in Cairns.
Oh, okay, that was in Cairns.
But still, the same sort of. It's the exact same sort of thing, though. Just the dew and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Because that can affect scoring as well.
Yeah. What do we got here? Jack Mulder. Hope Oliver is in a late out next week if he's named. Playing on Sunday. We'll have to lock in trades for them. They're not going to name Oliver if he's not playing. Like if he's not playing, they're just going to name him out. I don't see them naming him and then thinking he's a late out. But I don't think he'll play anyway. They've said he'll miss a week, so I'm just going to go based on that. As one DT Talk said, Sunday game will worry for Oliver. Obviously, that is a good point. Hope they just make the call out, and I think they will. Like they're pretty good with that. So
I think they will as well.
But yeah, Tim has said, should I trade Witt, Sicily, Short, or Oliver? Well, obviously, if Oliver's out and you've got a complete team, it'd be Oliver. But who would go first out of Witt, Sicily, and Short for you, James?
Who do you know these matchups? Who they're playing this week?
So Witts is up against Draper and Essendon. Short's up against North Melbourne, obviously. So Short's probably the least of the worries, and Sicily's up against West Coast at the MCG.
Yeah, so I'd be getting rid of Sicily there, I think.
Yeah, Sicily or Witts for me. One of those two is probably who I'd go. But Oliver's the one that if you've got a complete team, I'd be going him first. Andrew Griffiths up to 79th overall. Oh, again,
very solid.
You guys are making me feel bloody. Hope for you guys, but not making me feel any better. But yeah, no, good stuff, Andrew, mate. You've definitely been a guy that's tuned in a lot. So thank you very much for the support you show, mate. And everyone else that tunes in. We've got 31 watching at the moment, so that's obviously fantastic as well. Here we go. DT Talks got a question for us. So who goes first, Cripps or Dacos? That's a good one. What do you reckon?
For me, definitely 100% Cripps, because Dacos.
100% Cripps.
Dacos would be in your back line, I assume. Cripps is in your midfield. You can get him up to a steal. You can get him up to whoever you want. Whereas Dacos is still pretty tight to that top 6 scoring. whereas I think Cripps will be a long way off it.
Yep. Okay. I'll change the question a bit for you then to see if this changed your mind. What if Dacos was in your midfield? Would that change your thinking, or are you still going Cripps over Dacos?
Yeah, I'd for who are they playing this week?
So Dacos got the Crows in Adelaide, and Cripps has got Geelong at the MCG.
Yeah, definitely getting rid of Cripps.
Still Cripps, yeah. So there you go.
Yep.
I just thought it might change or whatever.
Dacos has got that role. He's going to get the pill.
Yeah. He still looked good for an 88 on the weekend, so he still looked very good.
Yeah, and the Pies got smoked in the first half. Like, if they just won, like they should have won, like the full 4 quarters, then he probably would have had a 110 plus.
Yep. Yeah, no, 100%. He was very good again. DT talks well. FYI, lockout list will be delayed tonight. Obviously, that's with the DPP edition. So people that are waiting for lockout, it'll be delayed with all that stuff. So there you go. Thank you, Warney, for that one. I'd laugh if it wasn't Warney. It was like Calvin or Roy, and I've been saying Warney the whole time. That'd be quite funny. Tim says, "Can you help my trades this week?" Tim, I need to know obviously more about the situation. I need to know like who you want to trade out, who you're looking at bringing in. But the best advice I give you without seeing your team is just Selby says all the time, go with your gut and really do what you want. It's just fantasy.
Bring in the highest scoring player this week.
Yeah, that's 100%. And fantasy is just about having a bit of fun. Unless you're in James' position where it's probably sitting up at night thinking, crap, who am I going to trade? Who am I going to make captain? And any decision is big. So, but for the most of us, it's just a bit of fun and just hopefully finish as high as possible. Get a hat. That's obviously what we want. Porter Dennis is Dan Houston a must trade.
I wouldn't call him a must trade. I still firmly believe trade out your worst player or target the best available player in a specific line. So if he's your worst in your back line, then trade him. Or if he's the worst player in your 22, then must trade. Then he's a must trade. Because at this point, a lot of teams are now completed. Or they're carrying a Saligo, or they're carrying Nick Martin or someone like this. So if you got one of those rookies left, I wouldn't trade Houston, and I'd trade the other guys first. But if it's completed and he's sitting back there at D6 for you, and you don't have one, especially if you don't have one of those top 3 guys like a Doc, Sinclair, or Dawson, then you can trade him.
Yeah, 100%. Northern's has asked as well. Hold Anderson. So that would depend which Anderson, because Anderson's one of the most common last names.
I think he means Jed.
AFL. But if he means Jed, I'd still trade. I'd still would look to move him on. But you can leave on a good handshake and thanks to 140 and CLA. Would you agree?
I'd hold him this week.
He just said he just said Jed. So yeah. You'd hold him?
Yeah, he's playing the Pies. Pies give up a ton.
Oh no, he's playing Richmond this. He's playing Richmond this week. Richmond this week.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He played Collingwood last week.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting my weeks confused.
Well, North have actually got North have got a good couple of weeks, can't they? They've got Richmond, then they've got Hawthorn, then they've got Essendon. So you could hold. I just the floor is big there.
The floor is worrying. The ceiling is nice.
If he's your worst player, you're still trading.
Yeah. Go up to like a Bailey Smith or a Tim English or someone like this.
Yeah. Now I'll throw one to you as well if anyone wants to get last minute questions in before we wrap everything up. But question for you, James, I want to see what your opinion would be. Who obviously we've had a few options. Who would you get? Who'd you rank in order of trade like target here? So Bailey Smith, Callum Mills, Toot Miller, Andrew Brayshaw, and there was one other. Who was it? Just do the 4. Brayshaw, Bailey Smith, Callum Mills, Toot Miller. Who are you picking? Who are you ranking there? Go 4 number. Like go from worst to best.
Worst to best. So there's Brayshaw, Smith, Miller, and Mills. Was that it?
Yep.
I'd be going Mills last.
Yep. Is that just because of role uncertainty?
Yeah, and also the matchup this week is not ideal. I don't think he'll do what he did last week. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, just don't think he will. Miller can go 3.
Yep.
Bailey Smith 2. Brayshaw 1.
Brayshaw 1. Yeah. No.
And
I'd probably
Steele 0.
Yeah, and still is the best out
Yeah.
of all of them. So yeah, I was going to say, where would you put Steele on that? Would you actually? Where would you put Laird on those? Would you go Laird? Would you go? So you said you go Steele above Laird, but would you go Laird or Brayshaw?
I think I'd go Brayshaw before Laird.
And then you go Laird third. Or would you go Laird or two?
I'd go Laird before Smith. Yeah. So I'd rather bring in Laird before I brought in Smith. Yeah.
A Took as well, because Took was behind Smith, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yes. There you go. There you go. And then Tim said, I forgot Hewitt in the mix. So would you trade Hewitt over Sicily?
No, I'd keep Hewitt.
Yeah, I'd do the same. You've got the midfield role. It's the better role. So yeah, I'd be doing that. So there you go. All right, I reckon that's about it. We've gone for a fair while. We had a lot of questions tonight, which is always very much appreciated and always enjoying answering questions. So, James, what are your early thoughts? Maybe not necessarily trades, what you can do, but is there who are you looking potentially at moving on in your team, and who are the targets that you're looking at?
Now that Himmelberg's got defender status, it's not a bad option to maybe look on moving on a Short or a Sicily, swing him back there, potentially get in like a Bailey Smith. Or another forward like a Duncan, I like as well. Or maybe bring in a Darcy up to a Gawn. I don't think that's a bad option. Or potentially chopping off a Mcrae or a Kelly to a big midfielder. But I don't think I'll do that. But I might just pull the trigger and do something. Because at the moment, I'm in a tough position where, there's 6 weeks behind, but I'm 80 odd points behind first. And we've got real similar teams. Like I think we've only got 4 or 5 players different. So I think his 4 or 5 players are better than mine. So I think I have to make a decision and try and get a bit lucky.
Well, yeah, I'm just having a look. So you guys got the exact same back 6. He's got Merritt and you've got Kelly. And you've got Steele, but I don't think he's got Kelly. So no, he does have Kelly. So yeah, so it's the same midfield. Then he's got Cameron and Rob, and you've got Darcy and Rob. And then the final one would probably be Himmelberg, and he's got
Taranto.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
It's probably what we scored so similar this week.
I know, because it's funny that's so similar. Like that's what happens when you get down to this part of the year. It's going to be these line ball calls. Captains is going to be important as well. So, but no, my early thoughts is if Dan Ambrosio plays, I'm probably going to go Ware out. But if Ware's not, then I might even go Saligo down to get a lot of cash, and then I'm going to go one of Whitfield or Cripps, more likely Cripps, because I think Whitfield can still be a top 6 defender. Whitfield is in my midfield, which is still, that's the only annoying thing, but I'll be going Whitfield up to Cripps up to a Brayshaw, Took, or Bailey Smith's a bit of an option that I could consider. I think I do want to go Brayshaw first, though. I can't watch him anymore without owning him. So I do need Brayshaw in my team. But Took's another guy that I definitely want to get in my side. Final question here from Shannon Baron says, should we skip Gawn for a week playing in Northern Territory in a high break even? I don't think Northern Territory is a big deal because they're playing during the day, but is Gawn a guy that wouldn't matter about breaking, you still bring him in?
I definitely think, it's valid to have another look this week. I'm just trying to find a few different pods. And so that's why I'm considering him, because not many players will have him at all. Yep. But probably the sensible thing would be to wait, especially with the high break even. So yeah, you can do either. I don't think you can go wrong, really.
Yep. No, beautiful. All right. Beautiful. Thank you very much for that, James, again. Good to have you on the show again. I'm sure that we'll get you back on before the end of the season, if you want to come back on, that is, obviously. But no, thank you for jumping on. If people, I'm sure people want to go follow you because you're second overall. Where can people find you on Twitter?
I don't know my handle. Do you know?
I think is it at Shuckers Fantasy. Is that? Is that? I'm pretty sure.
Oh
That's
yeah,
pretty sure.
that could be me. Yep,
I love that. I love that. That's just when you know you don't post too much on Twitter because you just I don't even know my handle.
Yeah.
It's funny. But no,
I
definitely
just
go
use
follow
it for
James.
the information.
What was that?
I just use it to get the information.
But no, 100%. It's great to have James on, the second overall coach, and let's see exactly how it goes with him and Matt. As I said, we'll get James on before the end of the season concludes, maybe even the final week of the season. Maybe I might be able to do something where I get you and Matt on the same show, and then we can sort of have a good discussion. That is a definite plan. I need to speak to Matt about that because that'd be a great plan.
Maybe
especially if
we're
you guys
still
are
1
top
and
2.
2.
Yeah. If you guys fall out, then obviously
Yeah.
probably you won't want to discuss because you'll be like, well, I just not feeling too great. But yeah, no, thanks for jumping on, James, again. I really do appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, make sure you go and do that. We're at 486, so 14 away from 500. Make sure you subscribe. Also, like the video if you're enjoying the content around here. Follow the Facebook page on Facebook. That's where I stream as well on there. Also follow me on Twitch. You never know, I might do some games and stuff in the future. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? So, but yeah, thank you for tuning in, everyone. And I'll speak to everyone on the Wednesday Twitter spaces that we normally do. So thanks, James, as well for coming on. And we'll see you guys next one. We're out. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.